All right, good afternoon. Why we're here is for the current crime concerns that we have, and this is for me to give you the opportunity to have an understanding of what our summer plan as it relates to violent crimes and community policing and our youth engagement will be throughout the summer. As you know, every summer we begin to see some increases in crime in certain areas, and that's due to the number of the schools being out, the number of social activities we have throughout our city. The Atlanta Police Department will engage in several initiatives to combat anticipated rise in violent crimes during our summer month, beginning Friday, June 4th through Saturday, August 28th. In addition to crime-fighting efforts, separate initiatives to positively engage our community and our youth will be implemented. We've seen an uptick in crime throughout our city of Atlanta, and I want to reassure the citizens of the Atlanta that the Atlanta Police Department will remain vigilant throughout this entire summer and going forward. So our violent crime reduction plan, what does that look like? APD will and our Homeland Security will work very closely with ATF. One of the things that we continue to see is the number of handguns that we find in a number of our youth, and as well as the people who just should not have guns in their hand. We believe that we have to intercept that. We have to do a better job of being able to find out where these guns are coming from and cut that avenue off. Restructuring our police department. I've talked about us centralizing our investigation. I believe that centralizing our police investigation unit division, as you were, will give us the ability to have greater accessibility to our investigators, to streamline their processes, giving us more resources and units that I think needs to be beefed up, to include our gun assault unit. That will give them the ability to, one, having more people in that unit and investigate more cases more efficiently, more effectively, and to be able to get people off of the street prior to them committing some more egregious type incidents. Our license and permits unit. Our license and permits unit will be beefed up as well over the summer. One of the things that we've been able to recognize is there are a number of locations operating as restaurants, but the reality is this give them an ability to operate throughout the night and given operating like very much like a club. So what this will give us the ability to do is put additional resources out to investigate and inspect these locations. Additionally, we were able to train over 50 of our police officers to help supplement this unit, which will be operating both on a day shift and an evening shift and later into the hours, so giving us a greater span to address some of the concerns that we are getting from these locations. Conducting a job compliance check. Right now, we have a lot of police officers that work extra jobs in some of our downtown spaces as well as in our nightlife. When we're doing this, this will give us a force multiplier of not just inspecting our police officers to ensure that they're adhering to our rules and policies, but it also gives us the ability to go and have a conversation with these other locations that may have a nightlife as well. Additionally, something that we've not done before is evaluate the security measures that many of these night locations may have. We know that some operate with metal detectors, security. One of the things that we think we could do better is having dialogue with them where we see that their security initiatives may be subpar, giving them ideas on how they could better help themselves as well as help us. Our code enforcement section. Code enforcement will have the responsibility of responding immediately to a location reactively if an incident happens at a location that's not previously on our radar. We want to make sure reactively that we're doing everything so to minimize a repeat incident at those locations. Now, the code enforcement generally works proactive by going out based on complaints and search and complaints and concerns that we get from our civic leaders and community leaders. But this reactive piece will be the new part, that when an incident may happen, they are responding as well. Utilizing overtime in our video integration center. We utilize our video integration center as a key component to what we do, backing up our police officers, giving us the ability to be in spaces and see incidences that our police officer may not be at that location to address. And so with having more people in our video integration center will give us the ability to put more eyes out on throughout our city and give us the ability to respond better. Conducting weekly traffic enforcement details. Again, one of our strongest partners is Georgia State Patrol and Fulton County Sheriff Office. Working in collaboratively with them, making sure that we have force multipliers, not just for street racing in our downtown space, but in spreading that out throughout our cities where we are seeing upticks and increases in issues and crime throughout our city. Partnering with our state and local partners, the district attorney's office, our Fulton County Sheriff's Office, to disrupt gang violence. I think that this will be a significant game changer going into what we're seeing in the summer. Because one of the things that we do know is gangs in the city of Atlanta really have their tentacles in every aspect of every kind of crime that you can imagine. So if we are attacking them aggressively and with more partnership and being more collaborative, I think that this will really change the trajectory of what we are seeing. And then multiplying this with, overlaying this with what we're seeing with our Phoenix, Operation Phoenix with our federal partners. Operation Phoenix goes after our most violent offenders. They may not be in a gang, but they're still a violent offender. This overlaying with what we're seeing with the gang task force, I think will really pay significant dividends going into the summer as well. We'll be implementing our ShotSpotter, a pilot program with ShotSpotter this summer as well. This will give us the ability to address gun violence that we have throughout our city. We had ShotSpotter previously. It didn't give us the dividends that we thought. We have had conversation with ShotSpotter, retooled it, worked with our strategists and special projects, worked with the mayor's office to make sure that we can now retool what we are doing in that ShotSpotter space. And so we'll evaluate that, but we'll be evaluating it throughout the summer where we are seeing increases in our violent crime. Additionally, one of the things that we recognize is we want to be able to put more police officers out on the street. So we are adjusting our administrative personnel as well, where they will be deployed out in some of these areas as well to supplement the day-to-day patrols that you're seeing. One of the council members asked, will we be deploying the command level to be in the day-to-day crime fighting? And as I stated to her, we in the command are talking crime every single day. But what you will see, as you see me in this blue uniform and most of the command in blue uniform, that gives us the ability to go out in these streets, talk to the men and women that are on the front line, really give them our message, see exactly what their concerns are firsthand. That way we can come back and immediately address the issues that they are bringing forth. Additionally, we generally go through our weekends with one commander, one on the day, one on the evening, who generally gives us the ability to, so that the command staff that generally works throughout the week have the ability to be off. We are increasing both of those by 2. So we're doing everything that we possibly can to expand the level, our response to violent crime. But violent crime cannot be fought with just police alone. Additionally, what we have to be able to do is increase our ability through community policing, expanding our video production with the public affairs and cops to create neighborhood-specific webinars and to help communities fight crime themselves. Increase the number of pop-up community presence with our police recruiting. One of the things that we recognize as well is we still have to backfill some of the vacancies that we have. We're pushing an aggressive agenda with the mayor's office and the Atlanta Police Foundation to make sure that we continue to backfill the spaces that we have to reach the goal of 250 as the mayor has required upon us. And then encourage citizens to create a neighborhood watch programs. It was just spoke of, I want to say in the city of Brookhaven, where neighbors who were able to call about an incident that was about to happen. We need more of that. When neighbors, because police officers cannot be everywhere. We don't have a camera on every corner. So to expand what we're able to do, and as you'll always hear me say, public safety goes beyond the police department, goes beyond law enforcement. It takes all of us to be partners in public safety. So we'll be working with communities to increase their neighborhood watch program. Our youth engagement. We're partnering with the Mayor's Office of Youth Engagement, the Atlanta Public School, Fulton County Sheriff, and Fulton County Police Department to address some of the issues that we're seeing around these water sales. We are rolling out a very robust plan as it relates to countering that. I had a meeting this morning and was told that in certain areas it is quite effective, and we're looking to continue to push that throughout our city. Each zone will be dedicating one officer 7 days a week to our youth engagement initiative and our youth entrepreneur program. Officers will conduct parent, guardian, and youth provide information to our youth entrepreneur program and additional resources available to them. Our HOPE team will continue to go out and work in some of the problematic areas that we continue to find and have homelessness in our community. And we'll partner with the Fulton County Juvenile and Probation to allow kids to transition into our PAL and our I Promise centers. I was asked just earlier today how important I thought that those resources were to the police department, and they are vital. One of the things that we saw over the last summer, and we have continued to see, is when our youth don't have anything to do, when they are not in school full time, when they don't have the resources available to them to do something else, they find something else to do. And they tend to either be the perpetrators of something or the victims of some crimes. And then lastly, we plan to increase, our video integration unit will monitor shopping centers and juveniles tend to congregate in. We continue to recognize that there are issues around Lenox Square and Camp Creek Marketplace and Atlantic Station. We have to continue to be very vigilant around those locations and make sure that those areas don't get out of hand. So overall, we plan to enhance safety and security at our nightclubs and our businesses employing extra job police officers. A 50% reduction in firearm-related assaults at nightclubs and business employing extra job police officers. Increase the number of cases presented to the Operation Phoenix by 5% compared to the previous 3 months. And then lastly, increase the number of spot checks to establishment licensed that sells alcohol by 5% previous to the past 3 months. That's us rolling out our summer plan, and I'll take specific and direct questions if you have any.
Can you speak to the 827 stolen guns out of vehicles, in terms of, I guess what you recommend and what you all are doing to advise people about this issue? Absolutely.
I can tell you one of the things that we continue to see is crimes generally are progressive. And what people tend to do, what many of our juveniles and criminals that recognize that in the state of Georgia, you have the right to have a gun. And so there's a proliferation of weaponry in our city. And people tend to put guns in their car and fail to secure them. These kids are going out specifically looking for guns in these cars. We're asking citizens to be more vigilant and more attentive to their weapons. if you just absolutely have to put a gun inside your car, that you secure that in your vehicle with either a gun safe or put it in the trunk and lock it up with a cable. That's one of the biggest ways the citizens can help us, is by not leaving guns inside their vehicles.
Going off of that, Chief, I know that the increase is up to about just over 800, and we saw that at the end of 2019 and 2020 by the end of the year. So it is a significant increase. Do you believe there is any connection to this increase in crimes? I know there's not specific data on it, but what's your opinion?
I think that, again, you have to look at this thing in its totality. There are so many other things that affect what we're seeing around crime: jobs, people being out of work, people not having the resources that they generally, or the outlets that generally would have the ability to go and have them. And that's to include churches. And again, I talk about our Boys and Girls Club, our At Promise, because so many entities are still under COVID restrictions, so it limits the number of people that are coming in there. And so when people, and then I believe, I just heard a psychologist say just recently that people are just short-tempered, and that's much of one of the gun violence that we're seeing, is that people are just failing to have normal conflict resolution skills. So there's a merit of reasons that we're seeing it. But as things begin to open up, I would hope that these numbers and the strategies that we're putting in place, we start to see those numbers go down. And in certain categories, we are.
Chief, obviously, you and your department are relying on this plan as a whole to reduce crime, but if you had to pinpoint one or two of these topics that you touched on that are in your plan, which one or two would you say you're hoping will reduce or will result in the best results, or produce the best results?
Absolutely. I think the first one will be that we continue to rely upon our partnerships with our partnering agencies. That's both at the federal and the state level, as well as our local level. That gives us a force multiplier to continue to go out into the streets, address the issues and the concerns that we're seeing. Secondly, I truly believe that us centralizing many of our resources inside the police department will give us the ability to do cleanup on the back end, resolving some of these crimes. And then lastly, and I'm sorry, I left this out of my talking points, our repeat offender program. Repeat offenders tend to be a continued problem in the city. And so we'll be reestablishing that one as well. And what that will allow us to do is to really go after these repeat offenders who fail to do the right thing after they've been adjudicated. This will give us the ability to have a better product with the DA and the courts and get them off of the street.
Chief, just starting there, I mean, so many officers that I've talked to have been complaining about some of the same people ending up back on the streets pretty quickly. How frustrating is it as a leader here to deal with some of these same 100 folks, let's say, who are causing some issues out there?
Ron, it's very frustrating. One of the things that we continue to see our office, and it's so frustrating that we had a conversation just this morning as we were talking about going through our COVID report, and we talked about a kid that we have been tracking for 3 years. And that's problematic when you're arresting someone, be it juvenile or an adult, and they're back out in the same location the next day. That is a problem. It becomes, it goes at the morale of the officer as well. I believe that us being more aggressive with our repeat offender, that this will help us not just internally but externally as well.
There's obviously a misconception out there, but if you could kind of nail it, COVID's obviously been a tough year for police departments across the country. You guys are seeing crime spike. What are we missing here? What don't we understand as a public in terms of what you guys are dealing with 24/7 when it comes to crime?
I'll tell you the police department, most law enforcement agency has been the constant through COVID. And not only were they the constant, they had to continue to be the constant even under civil unrest, even when we were the targets of the anger of many citizens. we had to stay steady. Even though police officers were going through some of the same issues with family members coming under, falling to COVID, where their kids were frustrated by not going to school, and then them having to work long hours. And then we still had to come out and deal with the citizens who just wanted general protection. So it was a lot going on with the profession as a whole. They remained constant. And then other institutions that we truly rely upon to help us in this space, I mean, due to COVID, had to reduce their ability to have outreach. And so that falls on us. And we had more added to us during COVID, but we're still managing through it.
And I'm sorry, Chief, one last question. Clearly the citizens have been pretty vocal about wanting crime to be stamped down. No one in this room wants it not to be as high as it is. What are you trying to tell people right now? What do you want them to know about the summer plan? If you could sum it up for us in a short sentence.
I believe that the summer plan that we're rolling out is very aggressive and that it will really target some of the areas that we are seeing issues. This plan goes specific after violent crime. It goes specifically at the nightclubs that we're continuing to have problems. It goes at the quality of life issues that the community continue to bring us concern with. So it is specific to the things that we are seeing as well as the area that we anticipate will increase. That's what this plan is for. It's not being carried out just by Atlanta Police. Again, we are relying heavily on our partners who are, generally with us every day. I talk to all of our counterparts quite often, and so I'm confident that we'll be in a better space this summer than we were last summer.
Any more questions?
One more. Chief, how did the app promise centers go into your plan for the tackling of crimes and reaching these juvenile offenders?
Absolutely. So when we have engagement with any youth, one of the first things that we're trying to do is to find a place for them, to give them resources to get off of the street, to get out of the trouble that they may be in. The At Promise Center and our PAL centers are the first places we go. The At Promise centers give them much more wraparound services, not just for that child, but for that child's family. And so we're always trying to prevent issues before they get further down the line. The At Promise Center has reports that they have a 6% recidivism rate. That's significant. And if we can continue to push kids in that direction, I think it'll be quite helpful for us.
Any more questions? If none, thank you.
Thanks.